Imagine the scene, a sunny Saturday at the family country house. The parents gathered all the grandchildren, the barbecue is in the fire, and the mood is that cozy way that only we know. Suddenly, Grandpa and Grandma start distributing tickets to a dream amusement park. Each child receives his own bright eyes, jumping with joy. Until my children comes. My father, with the biggest face, lets out a dramatic sigh. "Ah, Anya, sorry, the money is over." And there they go, at the same time, delivering the last tickets to the children of the neighbors, right in front of us, while my little ones look with the tremendous lips of disappointment. "Okay, I buy myself," I say, trying to maintain dignity. My sister laughs a mockery. "Ah, Anya, you and your children are not of our level." He took her children, who wimped with envy, and left. That day, something inside me broke. And I swear they repented bitterly of what they did later. My name is Anya. If 4 years ago someone told me that my own family would treat my children as outbreaks, I would have sent that person to treat. But there I was, at my parents' house, seeing the face of my 8-year-old Liska and Mishka, 6, withering sadness because they are the only ones without entrance. A story so cliché that hurts just remembering. I separated from Igor 2 years ago. He, this hero, upheld an affair with the company's secretary for 2 years, humiliating me in front of the children. But to my parents, I was the villain who destroyed the perfect home. In the beginning, it was only small provocations. At Christmas, the nephews won iPhones, while my children received envelopes with 5 reais. Then it got worse. My brother's twins were invited to all events, mine, forgotten. But the case of the park. That was too much. That night, after inventing a story about a super walk to calm the children, sat with the notebook and thought, what a irony. As they saw me like a poor thing, I had gotten over. After divorce, I set up my own event organization business. At first, I worked in 3 jobs at the same time. I was an administrator, waiter, hostess. Liska cried every night, "Why did Daddy leave?" I smiled, swallowed liters of coffee and thought, it will pass. Friends asked to organize a birthday, it worked. Then a bigger party. Until a wedding came for 3 million. In a year, I already had my CNPJ and ran high-level corporate. The funniest. My family still thought I lived in misery. Meanwhile, I recorded everything. Prints of conversations, photos, videos. It started on Mishka's 5-year anniversary. I hired a Spider-Man animator. I rented a salon in our condominium. My sister appeared with her children and spent all day muttering, "What a simple thing, right? Nothing compared to what we do." When they started singing congratulations, she whispered to hers, "Don't make a bundle, it's not such an important event." My son, dressed as a superhero, looked without understanding why his own birthday looked like a wake. That night I created a folder on the computer, evidence. I thought it was just not to go crazy. I didn't know it would be useful. Their system was very olive. At family meetings, my children were sent to the little table, while the others posed for photos. In group photos, my children appeared cut off at the end or simply not called. Christmas gifts. For the nephews, expensive electronics. For mine, valleys to choose whatever they want in the toy store. My brother, then, was a master of the indirect. He made jokes about single mothers in front of the children and then said, "Ah, relax, it was a joke." His wife, this sympathy named Karochka, was pure poison disguised as education. Clearly came from a structured family, but my parents. It was a separate wound. My father, who taught me to ride a bicycle, now looked through me. My mother, who baked cookies with me as a child, forgot to warn me about family lunches, but remembered to disinfect the house after we left. The apex was on New Year's Eve 2 years ago. When distributing the gifts, mine earned 3 times less than the others. Okay, I thought. Until my sister take off Samsung Galaxy tablets bag to all nephews, less for mine. Liska, in a shaky voice, asked, "And mine?" My sister laughed. "This is for those who have decent internet at home, not like yours." That night I took a 400,000 loan, bought 2 tablets and installed fiber optics. I paid the installment for 6 months eating beans with rice, but it was worth every penny. Because that's what saved me. I started taking high-standard events, increased my prices, organized a wedding for 3 million. I told my mother, who praised and changed the subject. I told my new apartment to my sister, who rolled my eyes. Dreaming costs nothing. After that, I joined the Chamber of Commerce, started the lecture in business forums. As they treated me like a failed, I built an empire. But the worst would not stop. They did not call my children to birthdays, forgot from the school concerts, excluded from those family trips. Until the park day. The drop of water. The turning point happened 8 months before this episode. It was my brother's wedding anniversary, the Psycha. Marina called me. Anya, yes, is a family event, all the children will be there. I bought a sequin dress for Liska, a suit with a tie for Mishka. We arrived, and you can see that we were the ugly ducklings. The other children were in combined clothes, clearly chosen on family shopping days. Mine stood out like thistles in the midst of roses. But the worst came when the photographer arrived. A professional session, you know? Everyone posing, smiling. Grandpa and Grandma in the center, surrounded by the grandchildren. Beautiful. Mine. Sitting in a corner, poking the tablecloth. Can we take a picture with mine too? I asked. My brother, with that air of superiority, now only the closest. Then, who knows, we make some general pictures. Then, that magic word that, in our family, means never. The photographer left without even looking at my children. Liska and Mishka spent the night on their cell phone, while the cousins displayed the new photos. That night my daughter looked at me and asked, "Mother, aren't we family?" What to answer? We were, yes, only second category. After that, our family group on Telegram was suspiciously silent. A month later, I found out for a friend, they had created a new one. Without me. There, they posted photos of the events that I lost because I was not warned and planned trips we were never invited. This hurt in children more than any slap. Liska, once a chatter, became a shadow. In family meetings, I stuck to me like I was your only anchor. Mishka started peeing in bed. Every morning, I asked, "Mom, you don't leave Daddy, right?" I took them to a psychologist, Elena Sergeyevna, a saint. She wasted no time. This is emotional violence for exclusion. Your family is punishing your children for your divorce. For 3 months, I spent 5,000 per session, money that was not left over. But she gave me a valuable advice: document everything. And take my stamp report. It may be useful. It was then that I remembered Grandma Fire. She passed away a year and a half before and left a will. I was the testatora, because, after all, Anya is responsible and has training in economics. The family knew there was inheritance. They waited anxiously for the division. I said, the process in the notary and the real estate record takes at least 6 months. Sometimes a year. Lie. Everything was ready for 6 months. My grandmother was a born businesswoman. In the 1990s, while the country collapsed, she bought apartments at a banana price. Crisis is time for opportunity, Anya, she said. People sold by crumbs and then regretted. She left 3 properties for rent, a country house, investments, actions, and a collection of Soviet antiques. In total, 110 million. By the will, everything would be divided equally between the 4 grandchildren, me, the Olga, the Saka and the cousin Andrei, from Petersburg. But Grandma Fire was not silly. She saw how the family treated me after divorce. And took his measures. Grandma Fire was not the type who left nothing at random. In the will, a paragraph hid between bureaucratic clauses was his secret weapon. If any heir performs acts of humiliation, discrimination, or psychological violence against the children of another heir, it will be declared unworthy according to Article 1117 of the Civil Code, losing its part, which will be redistributed among the others. I knew that detail. I kept the information as an asset, hoping never to use it. But watching Grandma in recent years has been going to attend a masterclass. While everyone saw a fragile lady offering lemon cookies, I knew the woman who, in 1962, left home with a 3-year-old son and a suitcase tied in a sheet. He looked at you and said he would rather see you killed, she once again told me, with a calm that fringed the pimple. I got our things, took Visha by the hand and left. People whispered, called me, I worked in 3 jobs, bought an apartment alone. Only then I married his grandfather and he treated the Visha as a son. When I divorced, Grandma was 83 years old. The memory failed, but the instincts, never. One day I took the children to visit her. Lizka, my daughter, was huddled, quiet, without touching the toys that Grandma kept for her. Fire called her close, asked subtle questions, and found that at a family dinner, Kira had told the girl that children of divorced carry a mark and that was why her father was gone. I have never seen my grandmother so furious. With a low voice, sharp as a blade, she whispered, "This is poison. The type of poison that erodes families inside." A week later, he called the notary Solobanova and rewritten the will. Then he began to keep a diary. The caregiver helped her write it all up as her lyrics were shaking. I found those notebooks when I organized their things. December 31st. Lizka sitting at the children's table. 3 empty places on the adult table. Misha cried. Sasha said, "Fireworks are only for children of complete families." February 14th. Olga forbade Lizka from playing with new toys. "They may be full of germs," he justified. Dozens of records, dated, detailed. 10 months before he died, the grandma called the notary again. Mrs. Labanova told me later, Fire Nikotikna spent 2 hours adjusting each word. It defined what would be considered violence, what evidence would be necessary, such as applying the clause. It required documents, photos, videos, conversations, and psychological reports proving damage to children. Everything within the law, so that no one can dispute, she insisted. In March, when I last found her, I arrived in the morning to help with coffee and the medicines she had left in silence. In the funeral, everyone cried, hugged each other. For a moment, I even believed her death could change something. May the morning, perhaps, to unite the family. How naive. They cried, yes, but with an eye on the will. They knew Grandma Fire was not poor. The ceremony in the church was impeccable, icons, candles, the priest speaking in a serious voice about love and legacy. In the reception hall, each of the 4 grandchildren made a disc. Bear. I told you how she taught me how to bake her lemon cookies. Olga, on the afternoons in the dacha. Even Grandma's death managed, for a few hours, to turn us into a normal family. I, foolish, thought, this is the moment of truth. The loss of someone beloved changes people. It rethink priorities. As I was wrong. 2 weeks later, the reading of the will in the registry office. Marina Petrovna, the notary, explained everything with surgical accuracy. The estate evaluation would take a month, the rescue of investments, 2, the transfer to Rosrista, 3 or 4. In total, up to a year, he summarized. I, as a species, would be responsible for managing everything. At his request, he omit the secret clause. I wanted to test. Without Grandma's shadow, the family would redeem each other, or sink for good. Sank. Instantly. The first signal also came in the Paminki, which I organized at the House of Culture ballroom. Tables post, Grandma portrait surrounded by flowers, open photo albums. Lizka and Misha behaved like shadows, silent, low-eyed. They loved the great-grandmother, the loss had left them fragile. They approached the table where Olga showed old photos to Grandma's friends. Lizka stretched her hand, curious, and her sister pushed her like an unwanted dog. This is adult conversation. It's going to play elsewhere. They found occupation in the corner of the hall, observing as cousins, uncles, and aunts ignored them with a calculated disdain. From then on, it was slope below. Family dinners became sessions of psychological torture. My children were treated as outcasts, separate table, dialogues reduced to the essentials, eye-singing looks. The nephews, following the example of adults, began to ridicule Lizka. When we arrived at the amusement park, I already had a folder with 35 documented episodes. All organized as in a court case, date, time, place, witnesses. I started recording videos with the camera hidden in my pocket after Misha's birthday. Family group screen catches where Olga referred to my children as those unplanned ways to minimize their exposure. Testimonials written from neighbors, shocked with scenes they witnessed. Psychologist Elena Sergeevna, who took care of children for 6 months, a serious professional, doctor in clinical psychology with 20 years of experience, wrote a 5-page report, stamped and signed, attesting systematic psychological violence, emotional deprivation, and development of rejection complex. Grandma had thought of everything. The legal requirements were impeccable, documentary evidence, attempted friendly resolution, I had tried to talk 100 times, professional assessment of damage. It had everything. After the episode at Ostrov Mekti when Olga forgot to buy tickets for Liska and Misha, leaving them outside while the rest of the family had spent a week organizing the documents, rehearsing each word, planning the outcome. And then it happened to me. I am an event expert. Why not turn revelation into a show they would never forget? That night, as I reviewed a marriage plan, an idea reached me as a lightning. What if I orchestrating a moment as impactful as the marriage proposals I organize at the top of skyscrapers? Or the jubilees in historical mansions? I know how to create an atmosphere, how to build a narrative. Why not use this talent for something, poetic justice? The Zagorodny Club, a 40-minute river property from Moscow, was perfect, elegant without being ostentatious, with a private hall for 50 people intimate enough for anyone to escape. Fireplace, crystal chandeliers, panoramic windows overlooking the river. 3 weeks planning every detail. The invitations were printed in the same graph that provided material for diplomatic receptions, roll ivory grosso, gold letters in handwriting, seal in R. I elevated. The Karlamov-Larina family invites you to honor Faina Nikitikna's memory and witness your last gift to loved ones. It sounded solemn. Almost moving. I hired Yulia, a photographer with whom she had already worked in a dozen weddings. I need genuine emotions, I explained. Like when the bride throws the bouquet and all run to catch. She laughed. I got it. But by your tone, I don't think it will be a bouquet that will fall. No, I confirmed. It will be a bomb. A regional philharmonic string quartet, 2 violins, a guitar and a cello was hired with clear instructions. Touch non-stop, no matter what happens. Even if a fight begins. I paid twice the cash to ensure obedience. The menu was chosen with a deliberate cynicism, all the iconic dishes of Grandma. The 7-layer salot semisloinik, which she prepared all New Year's Eve. Lemon cookies, I trained a week to replicate the exact taste. Sudak in gelatin, kotlety pozharski, dry fruit compote. I wanted the taste of childhood to fill their mouths at the very moment when the truth would strangle them. The flowers. Only white roses with gypsophila. White rose is honesty and purity, Grandma used to say. The lie kills her faster than winter. I ordered 50 bouquets to saturate the air with its perfume. Presents confirmations arrived in a week. Everyone accepted. Even my parents, like. No one called to thank the organization. Not even my parents. But Olga and Sergei would come with the complete family. Sasha, Marina, and the twins too. Andrei promised to fly from St. Petersburg with Christmas and his children. 30-2 people, including children. Everyone already calculated how they would spend their 27 to 30 million. As I thought where to hide Lisa and Misha. I didn't want them to see the fire that was about to settling. In the end, I arranged with my friend Moshe. She would take them all day, cinema, trampoline park, pizza, overnight. He told children that he had an important business meeting. 3 days before the big day, the phone rang. It was my mother. I was paying the feast's bills when I saw your name on the screen and felt a chill. Anechka, his voice was hot as when I was small and sick. I wanted to thank you. See that we walked away, but what you are doing for Grandma's memory. It's beautiful. She would be proud. I almost let my cell phone fall. 10 seconds of silence. Then squeezed. Thank you, Mom. It's important to me. Let's get together like a family, how Grandma liked, she continued. Maybe this helps us fix things. Something squeezed in my chest. What if I'm exaggerating? A chance to solve everything in peace. At night, I lay down the children. Misha hugged me before bed. Mom, when are we going to Dream Island? Soon, my love. I promise. He turned to the wall. From the other room, Lisa shouted, "Mom, can I wear the unicorn dress tomorrow? You go to Aunt Moshe, don't you?" And then, like a blow, what if Grandpa and Grandma appear? That's when I knew there was no return. My children still expected to be loved. The administrator, a young woman with impeccable suit, took me to the hall. "Anna Viktorova, it's all according to your list. Arrangement of places, menu, equipment." The hall was perfect. Round tables with white towels like snow. Crystal twinkling, polished silver. On the fireplace, the Glober portrait in golden frame, surrounded by white roses. Stage for the quartet, speech microphone. Photographer Yulia arrived next. He inspected the hall, tested the light. Optimal conditions. "What are we going to photograph?" "A birthday." "A wake," I said. "An unusual wake." At 3, the musicians arrived. 4 men of weakness, with instrument cases. The first violin, Cider, was a refined man. We prepared the repertoire as it asked: Bach, Mozart, Schubert. The important thing is not to stop. What happens? We already played at funerals of deputies. Nothing shakes us. The first guests were Andrei and his family. They came on St. Petersburg's morning flight. Natalia wore an elegant black dress. Children, impeccable. 10-year-old Ksiusha was chattering on the school's play. Vonya, 8, read a book while walking. Andrei hugged me like a brother. "Anya, you are amazing for organizing all this." "So that was laborious." "I'm glad they came, Andrei." He smiled. The best of the family. Never mistreated my children. He played in naval battle with Misha, braided Lisa's hair. "A pity you were on the list. Or would it be?" Then my parents arrived. My father in the suit he wears once a year. My mother in a new dress, clearly bought for the occasion. Anechka tried to hug me. I didn't get away, but I didn't answer either. "How beautiful. Grandma would love it." "I hope so," I said, "Dries." My father coughed. "Will the notary come?" "Of course, Daddy." They feel. Serve. Sasha, Marina, and the twins arrived on time. Artyom and Yega, copies of the father, the same serious faces, the same gestures. Marina in another designer dress, Gucci? Prada. I don't understand brands, but I know it was expensive. "Ah, little sister." Sasha slapped me on my back. "What a luxury. We thought it would be in a cafe, but you whimsical. The grandma deserves the best." Of course, of course. "Listen, when do we go to business? Does the notary really come?" I smiled. How cute. Even in a wake just thinks of money. Olga and his family arrived with pomp, as if they were in a red carpet. Kira was the first to enter, with a dress that cost the equivalent of my salary 3 years ago, pink tulle, rhinestones, heels. A miniature of the mother. Daniel and Dima dragged their feet, with ugly face. Clearly they preferred their cell phones to that boring adult meeting. Olga, of course, wore another Dior model, with a hairstyle that must have taken hours to get ready. He looked around with triumphant air. "Oh, how charming. Almost like a real reception." "Almost," I agreed. Everyone settled. The waiters served the appetizers. I positioned myself by the fireplace strategic point to see everyone. The quartet started playing Bach. The perfect scenario for what was coming. I started from afar. 20 minutes talking about Grandma, as I loved us, what a strong woman was, everything she had overcome. I told funny, exciting stories. The climate relaxed. Sasha already estimated that Car would buy with her part. Olga whispering with her husband, they certainly discussed the renovation of the dacha. "So," he said, "I ask everyone's attention to an important ad." I got up to the fireplace, a folder in my hands. The silence was instantaneous. The eyes shone. "As you know," I started, keeping my voice firm, "Grandma Faina's testament is resolved. She left very specific instructions." A pause. "The total value of the assets is approximately 110 million rubles. By the will, it is also divided between the 4 grandchildren." I saw Olga's eyes illuminate. 27.5 million. A beautiful addition to the family budget. But F is another break. I opened the folder. However, Grandma included special conditions. My hands, to my surprise, did not train. I quote, "Any heir proven involved in abuse against the children of another heir will be considered unworthy, according to Article 1117 of the Civil Code. His part will be redistributed among the others." Silence. The color disappeared from Olga's face. Sasha froze with the cup on her lips. In the last 3 years, I gathered evidence of systematic psychological abuse against my children. Photos, videos, prints of conversations, testimonials. Child psychologist report, stamped. My father got up, as stung by a wasp. "Anya, what absurd. We love Lisa and Misha. Do you love?" I took the cell phone. "Last Saturday. You look in my 8-year-old daughter's eyes and say you have no tickets left for Dream Island. A dramatic break. A minute later, distribute. Tickets left over for the children of the neighbors. In front of her. This is a misunderstanding," my father poured, his face flushed as a warning headlight. Misunderstanding? Excellent. Here is more. I opened the mobile gallery with a theatrical gesture. New Year's Eve. Kira looks into Lisa's eyes and declares, with poisonous sweetness, that dead Moros, our Slavian Santa, does not visit children of broken families. All of you there, change like tombs, watching. Here, Sasha's birthday. The twins throw Misha's cart in the pool as the adults laughed. Here, the message of Lisa, "Mom, why do they say I don't deserve a gift?" He flipped the photos, read the dates aloud, displayed the screenshots as a relentless promoter. Olga's face, previously stained by the wine, whitening like chalk. "You can't." She choked, the words stuck in her throat like thorns. "Because of some children's tantrums, steal our legacy? It's not me who steals. It was Grandma who predicted. And they are not tantrums, it is documented psychological abuse." The report of the stamped and signed children's psychologist was there, on the table, between the silver cutlery and the baccarat crystals. Who steals is you, their childhood, the dignity, the certainty that they are loved. Sasha got up so sharply that her chair gritted. "Anya, for God's sake, let's talk. We are family. Child fight, child makes up. Child makes up. Serious?" I touched the phone screen. His birthday video began to run, high enough to drown out the string quartet. In the image, Lisa stretches to get a piece of the cake. Artyom and Jaeger push her. It falls. Sasha, in the background, laughs. "It's your words, isn't it, brother?" I turned to him, cold. "When I asked you to intervene, you said, 'Leave it, it's dramatic.'" The quartet changed to Mozart. A light waltz, almost cheerful, grotesque against the weight of it. The musicians stared at the sheet music, as if their lives depended on not witnessing. I took a deep breath. The succession process ended 6 months ago. I just expected the right time to announce. Olga and Alexander were declared unworthy. Their parts annulled. What? Olga lifted so hard that he knocked down the cup. The red wine spread through the white towel like blood. "Andrei," I turned to the cousin, "their 27 million are safe. You have always been decent with my children. My part, with redistribution, exceeds 80 million. Did you plan that?" Olga shouted, the veins of the jumping neck. "From the beginning. He manipulated the grandma, turned her against us. Especially." I smiled slowly. "Here is her diary. New Year's Eve page, they put Lisa on the children's table, although there were 3 empty places among adults. Your letter. Your observations." My mother finally broke the silence. "Anya. Why? We are family." "Family?" I laugh, bitter. Where was this family when my children cried? When they humiliated them, they excluded them, they treated them as heights. You chose the side of the adultery husband instead of her daughter. Now if end with the consequences. But it has a way. My father tried to resume control, shaking hands on the table. "We can negotiate, find a middle ground." Late. The documents were filed in court last week. The money has already been redistributed. Notary signed everything. And I was silent. Sasha struck the table with her fist. 6 months silent. And you stayed 3 years silent as you destroyed my children. Sergei, Olga's husband, got up. A large man, accustomed to obeying his commands. And now? Will you embarrass us before the whole city? Ah, I'm glad you asked. Smile, sweet. Next week the story about the Faina Nikotikna background comes out. Helps children victims of family psychological abuse. Without names, of course, but I think many will recognize the standards. Bitch dash. Olga spat. Beware of language. I pointed discreetly around the corner. The photographer is recording everything. Only then did you notice Yulia, motionless, with her professional camera without flash, capturing each expression, every gesture of despair. Do you know what is sadder? I looked at each one by one. This could have been avoided. Until last Saturday, I still expected. I thought, maybe they wake up. But no. Chose to end. Publicly humiliate an 8-year-old child. Why? To prove who sends. To keep the family facade perfect while rotting inside. I closed the folder. On the night of the park, Lisa asked me, Mom, Grandma and Grandpa love me? Misha wants to know what he did wrong. You broke my children. But Grandma protected them until after death. The exodus began. Olga's sons were the first to run to the exit, as rats presenting the wreck. Sasha was still trying to discuss the documents, but Marina dragged him out. Then we solve. He shouted over his shoulder. Andrei approached as the others dispersed. Anya. I swear I didn't know it was so serious. If I knew, I would have interfered. I know. I touched your arm. You are the only decent here. The grandma recognized this. The money. You deserve each ruble. I can return part, for justice. No. It's yours. At least one of you understood what loyalty is. My parents were the last to leave. My mother was crying in silence, the tears falling over Kashmir's shawl. My father aged 10 years in an hour. Anya, he stopped at the door. What do we need to do to forgive us? To recognize. Not a sorry if we offend but admit what they did. Write letters to my children, sincere, with no lame excuses, and give me time to decide if I want you in their lives. If you do that, we see. What if we do everything? Start stopping seeing as victims. They left. I was alone in the salon. The quartet played the last piece, something melancholy. Chopin, maybe. Yulia kept the equipment. Hard, she commented. But beautiful. Like cinema. Life is more interesting than cinema. I drank the wine from a sip. Only then did my hands started to tremble. Adrenaline was passing by. I had done. I protected my children. Restores justice. The phone exploded on notifications on the way home. I didn't read. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. At home, Moshe played with the kids on the living room floor. Seeing me, they ran to hug me. Mom. We eat pizza and saw drawing. Tomorrow can we sleep at Aunt Moshe's house again? You can do everything, my loves. Everything they want. I lay them down, then stayed in the kitchen with Moshe, telling how it had been. Fuck, Anya, she whistled. Now they will run to court. That run. The documents are bulletproof. Grandma made sure of this. And of course, a week later, Olga filed a lawsuit. The judge studied the case, checked the reports, read the opinion of the psychologist. Denied. The will remains valid. Unequivocal decision. Sasha tried another tactic. Calls, messages, even appeared at my door. Anya, we didn't do it bad. Forget it, start from scratch. I was silent. What is said to those who genuinely do not understand the severity of what you did? 3 months later, a surprise. Someone knocked on the door. Igor. My ex-husband, in person. Suit, tie, even flowers brought. Anya, can we talk? What? I will not reduce the pension. It's not that. He ran a hand over his hair nervously. I heard about the process, from the family. Enter. I made tea. We sat in the kitchen, strangers. I didn't ask them to stay beside me, it started. But I didn't stop them either. I was an idiot. A hurt idiot. He looked down. They suffered because of me. For our divorce. I understood a lot. How about us? Try to be civilized. For the children. No wars, no divisions. Maybe we even go out together, that park, who knows? I thought. Children need the father. If he was willing to change. Let's try. But in my rules. New agreement at the notary, days, schedules, detailed responsibilities. And you know, it worked. Igor is not perfect, but strives. Lisa and Misha flourished without constant stress, humiliation, comparisons. Lisa discovered talent for theater. Misha won second place at a robotics fair. And yes, we went to Dream Island, the three. No cries, no scenes, no crooked looks. We walked all the toys, ate cotton sweet, we took pictures with the characters. True magic is not the size of the inheritance or the approval of others. It is seeing your children happy. Grandma knew that. And protected us from beyond.